matters. This is your mystery man broadcasting from the dripping underbelly of forgotten places. Welcome, all you night crawlers huddled around your flickering screens and crackling speakers. Tonight's tale from the old woods is called Bigfoot Assault Settle in Deep. What you're about to hear ain't for the faint of heart. In the year 1847, a ragged band of migrant farmers pushed westward through territory no map had ever named. Their herd of gaunt cattle lowed miserably behind them, ribs showing like barrel staves. The men had left failing soil behind, chasing rumors of rich black earth beyond the mountains. Fog swallowed the sun early that October afternoon. Trees grew thicker, older, their bark black and weeping sap like old blood. The farmers knew they were lost long before they admitted it aloud. A low, musky stench drifted on the wind, something between wet fur and spoiled meat. The lead farmer, a bearded man named Elias, raised his hand. "Hold up, something ain't right." In the deepening twilight, a shape moved between the trunks taller than any bear, shoulders broad as a wagon. Yellow eyes caught the last light. The thing watched the cows with unnatural hunger. Elias felt his bowels loosen. This was no ordinary beast. Panic spread faster than reason. Muskets were primed with trembling hands. "It's a devil," someone shouted. The first shot cracked the air. Buckshot peppered the creature's chest. It roared, a sound that vibrated inside their skulls. The farmers charged with axes, pitchforks, and knives, convinced their god and their guns would save them. They were wrong. The creature moved like living shadow and muscle. It seized the first man by the head, fingers the size of crowbars sinking through scalp and bone. With a wet, wrenching twist, it tore the skull free, spine dangling like a bloody rope. The body collapsed, legs still kicking. Another farmer swung an axe. The beast caught the blade in its palm, yanked the man close, and punched straight through his torso. Ribs exploded outward in a spray of red mist. Intestines slithered out like startled snakes. Screams echoed through the ancient wood. A third man was lifted high and slammed down across a fallen log, so hard his back snapped like green wood. The creature stomped on his chest. Lungs burst through the ruined ribs in pink froth. Blood painted the ferns black. One farmer tried to flee and was caught by the ankles. The beast swung him like a rag doll against a tree trunk until the head simply came off, leaving the spine threaded through the neck like a grotesque cable. The last farmer, Elias, dropped his musket and fell to his knees, sobbing. The creature loomed over him, breath hot and foul. It studied the man for a long second, then drove two fingers through his eyes and deep into the brain, twisting until the skull made a sound like cracking walnuts. The body twitched once and was still. Silence returned, broken only by the wet drip of meat from the trees. The beast turned its attention to the cattle. Something about them stank of wrongness. It moved among the terrified animals, sniffing, tasting the air. Most scattered, but the creature was faster. It tore into them with methodical fury. One cow's belly was opened like a sack. Organs spilled across the ground in steaming heaps. Another had its head twisted clean off, vertebrae popping like corn kernels. Then the final cow, the one lagging at the rear, began to shudder violently. Its hide split with a sickening rip. Gore and pus erupted outward in a fountain, splattering the surrounding trees. From within the ruined carcass rose a nightmare, a gigantic screwworm, pale, segmented body glistening, hooked mouth parts the length of scythe blades. The parasite had grown monstrous inside its host. It screamed, a sound like tearing metal. The two horrors collided in a storm of violence that flattened acres of forest. Trees snapped like matchsticks. The screwworm's jaws clamped onto the beast's shoulder, chewing through fur and muscle down to bone. Black blood sprayed. The creature roared in fury and drove its massive fist straight through the worm's midsection, ripping out writhing segments that twitched on the forest floor. Acidic ichor burned the earth. They rolled and thrashed, crushing everything in their path. The worm wrapped its length around the beast's torso, squeezing until ribs cracked audibly. The creature answered by tearing the parasite's head halfway off, then slamming it repeatedly into the ground until the skull split open like an overripe melon. Chunks of pale flesh flew. Finally, with a triumphant bellow, the beast seized the dying worm and began to feed. It devoured the creature in great ripping mouthfuls, crunching through chitin and soft tissue alike. When it finished, only a wide circle of splintered trees and soaked earth remained. The beast stood among the carnage, chest heaving, then melted back into the shadows from which it had come, and so the woods grew quiet once more, as if nothing had happened. Nature, red in tooth and claw, had balanced its own scales. There's your moral, sewer chatters. Never rush to violence against what you don't understand. The real horror is often the invisible rot inside the familiar. The wild doesn't need your judgment. It has teeth of its own. Sleep well, my friends. This is Mystery Man signing off from the Dark Sewer Network. Good night, sewer chatters. Thanks to the network and to Nick the Rat for keeping the feed alive. Stay lost. Stay listening.